Pinterest feels safe. That's the whole point, actually. While Twitter became a war zone and Facebook turned into your uncle's conspiracy theory bulletin board, Pinterest stayed in its lane, a digital scrapbook for people who like things organized and pretty. You scroll through boards of minimalist bedroom designs, slow cooker recipes, and workout routines you'll never actually do. It's the internet equivalent of a craft store. Wholesome, harmless, boring even, and that's exactly why nobody saw it coming. See, Pinterest operates on a simple premise. You tell the algorithm what you like, and it shows you more of it. Sounds innocent enough. You're interested in interior design? Here's 1,000 more living room ideas. Like healthy recipes? Here's an endless stream of quinoa bowls. The platform learns your interests and feeds them back to you, creating what they call an inspiration engine. But here's what they don't advertise. Algorithms can't tell the difference between inspiration and obsession. They can't detect when someone's casual interest in fitness has morphed into an eating disorder. They don't recognize when true crime fascination crosses into dangerous territory. They just keep serving content, digging deeper into whatever rabbit hole you've wandered into until you're so far down you can't see daylight anymore. This is what makes Pinterest uniquely dangerous. It doesn't feel like other social media. There's no comment section drama, no viral outrage, no public shaming. Over the past decade, Pinterest has been quietly involved in some genuinely disturbing cases that reveal how a platform built for wedding planning and home decor became a tool for deception, radicalization, and tragedy. Teenage deaths linked to harmful content, violent threats that shut down schools, and criminal activity hiding among the recipe pins. Today, I'm breaking down 5 cases that show the dark side of Pinterest, 5 stories that prove the internet's safe space isn't so safe after all. And we're starting with a woman whose Pinterest boards told a very different story than the one she was living. Let me introduce you to Sherri Papini. On the surface, Sherri Papini's Pinterest profile looked like any other one intended for a seemingly perfect suburban mom, but the closer you look at it, the weirder things get. You wouldn't see it on a surface glance, but hidden among the shabby chic furniture and vintage wedding boards was an entry point into one of the most bizarre hoaxes in modern American history, one that would fool law enforcement and waste hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars. On the surface, Sherri Papini's Pinterest profile looked like any other one intended for a seemingly perfect suburban mom, but the closer you look at it, the weirder things get. You wouldn't see it on a surface glance, but hidden among the typical Pinterest boards, the home decor ideas, the gift inspirations, the carefully curated aesthetic, Sherri was a 34-year-old mother of 2 from Redding, California. She'd worked as an account executive before becoming a stay-at-home mom. Like millions of other Pinterest users, she maintained boards for gift ideas, home projects, and personal interests. She presented herself as the devoted supermom, blonde hair, 2 beautiful kids, living the suburban California dream. To anyone looking at her online presence, she seemed like just another mom trying to keep it all together. But here's what most people don't realize about Pinterest. It's not just a platform for showing off what you have, it's a platform for planning what you want. And Sherri Papini wasn't just planning her next DIY project. On November 2nd, 2016, Sherri went out for her usual afternoon jog near her home in Redding. She never came back. Her husband Keith found her phone on the ground near their mailbox, still playing music, with her earbuds tangled in strands of her blonde hair. No Sherri, just the phone, the earbuds, and a few blonde strands, like she'd been violently ripped away mid-stride. Keith immediately called the police. Within hours, a massive search effort kicked off. We're talking helicopters, search parties, police dogs, volunteers combing through the woods. The media latched onto the story almost immediately. A young mother vanishing during a jog in broad daylight in a safe suburban neighborhood. It was every parent's worst nightmare. Keith made tearful public pleas on camera for her safe return. The community rallied hard, raising money for the family. Flyers with Sherri's face went up all over Northern California. Everybody was looking for her. And then, 22 days later, on Thanksgiving morning, Sherri reappeared. A truck driver spotted her on the side of Interstate 5 in Yolo County, about 150 miles south of Redding. She was bound with restraints, emaciated. Her weight had dropped to just 87 pounds. Her nose was broken. Her hair had been chopped off in uneven chunks. She had bruises covering her body, rashes that looked like bite marks, and most disturbingly, a brand burned into her right shoulder. The mark resembled a Bible verse from Exodus. When police interviewed her at the hospital, Sherri told a harrowing story. She claimed she'd been abducted by two masked Hispanic women, one older with gray curly hair, one younger with straight black hair and piercings. According to Sherri, they held her captive in a dark basement for 3 weeks. They beat her with a hockey stick. They played loud mariachi music constantly to disorient her. They barely fed her, just enough to keep her alive. They branded her with a heated tool, and then, inexplicably, after 22 days of torture, they just let her go, dropped her on the side of the highway, and drove off. Law enforcement issued sketches based on her descriptions. The FBI got involved. They searched for any evidence of these women. The story seemed bizarre from the start. Female kidnappers targeting an adult woman with no sexual assault, no ransom demands, no clear motive. It didn't fit any known criminal pattern, but Sherri had the injuries to prove it. The brand, the broken nose, the extreme weight loss, the trauma was visible. The case went cold. Years passed. The FBI couldn't find these mysterious kidnappers anywhere. And then, in August 2020, 4 years after the abduction, detectives made a breakthrough. They'd found male DNA on Sherri's clothing from the day she reappeared. It didn't match Keith. It didn't match anyone in the criminal database. So they ran it through ancestry databases and got a hit. The DNA belonged to a man named James Reyes, Sherri's ex-boyfriend from years ago. When confronted, Reyes told investigators everything. Sherri had contacted him before she disappeared using burner phones Keith didn't know about. She'd asked if she could stay with him for a while. She wanted to escape her life, her marriage, her responsibilities. For those 22 days, everyone thought she was being tortured in a basement by Hispanic kidnappers. She was actually at Reyes's apartment in Costa Mesa, voluntarily, watching TV, eating normally, living like nothing was wrong. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Those injuries everyone saw, the ones that made the story so believable, she orchestrated them. She asked Reyes to help her stage the whole thing. She had him brand her shoulder with a heated tool, specifically requesting the Exodus mark to make it look religious and sinister. She had him hit her in the legs with a hockey puck to create convincing bruises. She asked him to hold a hockey stick stationary while she ran into it full force to break her own nose. She had him chain her wrists for authenticity when he finally drove her back north to stage her dramatic release on the side of the highway. And the things Reyes couldn't or wouldn't help with, she did those herself. She deliberately starved herself for 3 weeks to get down to 87 pounds. She cut her own hair into choppy, uneven chunks. She used cleaning supplies to give herself chemical burns and rashes that would mimic abuse and torture. This wasn't some spontaneous decision. This was meticulously planned, researched, executed with precision. And that's where Pinterest comes back into the story in the most disturbing way possible. Investigators discovered that Sherri had maintained secret Pinterest boards, not the public shabby chic wedding boards she showed the world. These were private, hidden boards where she'd been pinning images and research related to torture methods, self-harm techniques, and specifically branding tools, heated irons, different symbols, methods that directly matched the Exodus mark she later displayed as proof of her captivity. She'd been researching real abduction cases like Elizabeth Smart's kidnapping. She'd been pinning content from fictional narratives like Gone Girl, studying how to make a disappearance story believable. She was treating this like a school project, gathering sources, taking notes, planning every detail. Pinterest wasn't just the platform for her wedding business, it was her research tool, her planning board for one of the most elaborate hoaxes in recent memory, and it worked. Between 2017 and 2021, while investigators wasted resources searching for her non-existent kidnappers, Sherri collected over $30,000 in victim compensation funds from the California Victim Compensation Board. She received donations from her community, disability payments, GoFundMe contributions, all while her family, Keith, her kids, her parents, suffered through the trauma of what they thought had happened to her. In 2020, detectives brought Sherri in for interrogation. They had Reyes's confession. They had the DNA evidence. They had her Pinterest search history showing premeditation. The interrogation footage is genuinely difficult to watch. Keith was in the room, forced to sit there as his wife's elaborate lies unraveled in real time before his eyes. At the 33:58 mark of the interrogation video, Sherri breaks down completely, saying through sobs, "I don't want them to find her. You're not listening to me because she saved my life."
I don't know. I don't want them to find her. You're not listening to me.
Tell me why.
Because she saved my life.
But tell me.
Desperately clinging to the fiction of the older kidnapper who supposedly showed her mercy by eventually releasing her. Even with DNA evidence, polygraphs, and her ex-boyfriend's detailed confession laid out in front of her, she's still protecting this character she invented, still acting like the victim. From 4120 to 4128, you can hear her just wailing, "No, no, no," and I don't know," in this desperate, hysterical tone as detectives dismantle her story piece by piece.
Test. That said, it's not an abduction. She asked me to come get her.
No.
I rented a car.
No.
I drove up and picked her up. He passed the polygraph test, Sherri.
If that's not what happened, what did happen, Sherri?
I don't know.
Explaining how she could recall specific room details because she was there willingly, how the injuries match exactly what Reyes described helping her stage, and then from 4809 to 4904, the confrontation reaches its breaking point. Keith's frustration boils over. The agents reveal that Reyes passed a polygraph with flying colors, that he detailed everything, every injury, every lie, every moment of those 22 days. There's no escape, no way out. Sherri dissolves into hysterical sobbing and eventually requests a lawyer, realizing the game is finally over.
James told me everything. So the only person that hasn't started telling us certain facts, there are certain facts that are true. When we were sitting there talking to James, there were so many truths that were a part of your story that it's hard to decipher the lies until we put it all together. Until he says, "Hey, how did you pick her up?" I opened up the passenger side seat, I opened the door, you jumped in the back seat. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? I don't know. It was weird. So are you calling James a liar? Are we not believing James what he told me?
No.
I know you're scared.
I cannot believe that it is James.
I can't believe James told us the truth. That's what I can't believe.
Even after the interrogation, she tried one more manipulation. She told Keith that the FBI suspected him of being involved in her disappearance, that he'd supposedly failed a lie detector test, one final attempt to deflect blame, to maintain control, to manipulate the narrative. Keith didn't buy it. He knew it was just another lie in an endless series of lies. Sherri Papini was arrested on March 3rd, 2022 for mail fraud and lying to federal agents. 6 weeks later, she pleaded guilty in U.S. District Court in Sacramento, finally admitting that the entire abduction was a hoax she'd planned to spend time away from her family with Reyes. On September 19th, 2022, she was sentenced to 18 months in prison plus 3 years supervised release. She was ordered to pay $309,902 in restitution for investigation costs, victim compensation funds, search and rescue resources, and all the other expenses her lie had generated. She was released to a halfway house in August 2023, and in true Sherri fashion, she's since appeared on media outlets trying to backtrack yet again, now claiming that Reyes actually held her against her will and inflicted the injuries non-consensually, contradicting her own guilty plea. Experts have dismissed this latest version. Ray has denied it and has passed multiple polygraphs, but she's still trying to rewrite the narrative, still manipulating, still lying. Keith filed for divorce in April 2022 and won sole custody of their children. As of 2024, Sherri has only supervised visits with her kids. The case has inspired Hulu documentaries, Lifetime movies, podcasts, and even got referenced in an Eminem song. But what makes Sherri Papini's hoax uniquely disturbing isn't just the scale of the deception or the resources wasted. It's how she weaponized a platform designed for inspiration and creativity. She turned Pinterest, this wholesome site where people plan weddings and baby showers and dream homes, into a research database for faking her own kidnapping. She studied real trauma cases, like a student studying for an exam, blended them with fictional narratives, and executed a plan that fooled trained FBI agents and an entire nation for years. Sherri Papini's Pinterest boards told two completely different stories. One was the perfect life she wanted everyone to see, the devoted supermom with impeccable taste. The other was the nightmare she was meticulously planning to inflict on everyone who loved her, and for 22 days, the whole country believed the lie she'd been pinning together in secret. It's November 21st, 2017. The Russell family home in Harrow, northwest London, is quiet. Upstairs, 14-year-old Molly Russell is alone in her room, scrolling through her phone. At 12:45 in the morning, she saves one final video. Minutes later, she's gone. Her father, Ian, would find her the next morning. And in the devastating weeks that followed, as he tried to understand what had happened to his bright, promising daughter who loved the musical Hamilton and starred in her school play, he did what any parent would do. He went through her phone. What he found would change everything we thought we knew about Pinterest. Molly hadn't been withdrawing into her room because of normal teenage stuff. She'd been disappearing into a digital nightmare that her family never knew existed. Hidden accounts, secret boards, thousands upon thousands of posts and images about depression, suicide, and self-harm. And the platform feeding her most of this content? Pinterest, the supposedly safe one, the wholesome inspiration board where moms plan baby showers. Molly had created a secret board on Pinterest. She titled it Nothing to Worry About, which is darkly ironic considering what was inside. The board contained 469 pins, depression quotes, self-harm imagery, anxiety memes, content glorifying suicide, all collected through over 15,000 engagements in just 6 months. But here's what makes Pinterest's role in Molly's death so uniquely horrifying. She didn't have to search for most of this content. Pinterest brought it to her actively, deliberately. The algorithm saw a 14-year-old girl looking at one depressing post and decided to show her 10,000 more. Think about how Pinterest normally works. You pin one recipe and suddenly your entire feed is more recipes, baking tips, kitchen gadgets. The algorithm learns what you like and gives you more of it. Now imagine that same system, but instead of cookies, it's suicide methods. Instead of home decor, it's reasons why life isn't worth living. That's what Pinterest did to Molly Russell.
Losing Molly is something that will affect me in ways that I don't even know. And it's something that we won't ever be able to forget or entirely move on from. I think it was shocking to see that and to see that it was that bad. Either depression or poor mental health can hide almost in plain sight in that sense.
She would receive automated emails from Pinterest with subject lines like 10 depression pins you might like, not depression help, not mental health resources, depression pins, like it was a hobby. The platform was treating suicidal ideation the same way it treats banana bread recipes. When Molly searched for terms like depressing quotes, Pinterest's search function would autocomplete with suggestions. Depressing coots deep, Suishalkouts. Notice the misspellings? Those weren't accidents. Pinterest's algorithm had learned that depressed teenagers often misspell words when searching for this content late at night, so the platform cataloged those misspellings and used them to connect users to even more hidden networks of harmful material. Pinterest has this feature called assortative relating. The system connects you with other users who pin similar content and then shows you everything they've pinned. So if Molly looked at one depression post, Pinterest would find every other teenager who'd looked at that same post and then show Molly everything those teenagers had saved. She was being connected to networks of other depressed, suicidal children, all feeding each other darker and darker content. The platform trapped her in an echo chamber. The more she engaged, the more it fed her. And the more it fed her, the more she believed this was normal, that everyone felt this way, that suicide was poetic, that self-harm was beautiful. No 14-year-old should ever see this content. But Pinterest didn't just allow it. The algorithm amplified it, recommended it, sent it directly to her inbox. Ian Russell fought for years to get an inquest into his daughter's death. In September 2022, 5 years after Molly died, the case finally went to court. Senior coroner Andrew Walker ruled that Molly's death wasn't just suicide. It was caused by depression and the negative effects of online content that contributed in more than a minimal way. First time in UK history, social media was officially cited as a contributing factor in someone's death. Pinterest executives were forced to testify. Judd Hoffman, representing Pinterest, stood up in court and admitted that Pinterest was not safe at the time Molly used it. Not safe. Those were his exact words. But then he said something that should make every parent's blood run cold. He said Pinterest remained imperfect, that violating pins were likely still on the platform, even as he sat there testifying. Translation: we know it killed your daughter. We know it's still dangerous. We haven't fixed it. The inquest revealed that Pinterest knew exactly what its algorithm was doing. Internal reports showed they understood the platform was feeding depressive content to vulnerable children in what experts called binge sessions. Hours and hours of scrolling through suicide glorification, self-harm tutorials, hopelessness, and despair. And Pinterest chose to keep the system running exactly as designed, because changing it might hurt engagement metrics, might reduce time spent on the platform, might impact revenue. By 2025, Pinterest got a new CEO, Bill Ready. He publicly stated that he thinks about Molly Russell every day and that her tragedy guides ongoing safety efforts. Except research from the Molly Rose Foundation, the charity Ian Russell created in his daughter's memory, tells a different story. In 2025, they found that 37% of UK teenagers aged 13 to 17 were exposed to high-risk suicide, self-harm, depression, or eating disorder content in a single week across platforms including Pinterest. For teens already struggling, that number jumped to 68%. Molly died in 2017. It's 2025 now. Pinterest is still doing the exact same thing. The company made some changes after the inquest. They banned some graphic self-harm images. They improved search redirects to mental health resources. But audits found that Pinterest is still distributing depressive pins to teenagers. The algorithm is still connecting vulnerable kids to networks of harmful content. Pinterest isn't run by evil people who want children to die. It's a company optimized for engagement. Every feature, every algorithm is designed to keep users scrolling as long as possible. And when a depressed 14-year-old girl searches for content about sadness, the system does exactly what it's programmed to do. It gives her more and more until there's nothing left but despair. Ian Russell described Pinterest as a ghetto his daughter couldn't escape from. The coroner said the platforms created binge periods that romanticized self-harm and actively discouraged seeking help. One of Molly's farewell notes referenced content she'd saved on Pinterest just minutes before her death. After Molly's death, the coroner issued prevention of future deaths reports. There were pledges and promises and policy updates. But Molly Russell's Pinterest board still exists somewhere in the digital ether, a collection of 469 pins titled "Nothing to Worry About," a catalog of despair carefully assembled by a 14-year-old girl and an algorithm that knew exactly what it was doing. That board wasn't titled Nothing to Worry About, ironically. Molly probably created it that way so her parents wouldn't look too closely, so they'd think it was just normal teenage stuff, nothing to worry about. But there was everything to worry about, and Pinterest knew it, and they let it happen anyway. It's a regular Tuesday morning on October 1st, 2024. At East Central Cast High School in San Antonio, Texas, students are between classes doing what teenagers do, scrolling through Instagram, sending memes, complaining about homework, due next period. Nothing unusual, just another day. Then someone sees a post that makes their blood run cold. It's a photo of assault rifles, multiple of them, laid out on a surface like someone's showing off their collection. Professional looking, menacing. The caption reads, "East Central Cast and South Campus, here I come." The student who sees it screenshots immediately, starts forwarding it to friends. Those friends forward it to more friends. Within minutes, the post is spreading through the entire student body like wildfire. Students show teachers. Teachers call the office. Parents start getting panicked texts from their kids. The school administration office gets absolutely flooded with calls. This isn't some vague rumor spreading through the hallways. There's an actual image, actual guns, an actual threat posted publicly on Instagram naming their specific campuses. East Central ISD police are notified. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office gets involved. By midday, parents are showing up at the school gates demanding to take their kids home right now. The threat feels real because of that image. Those guns look accessible, like someone genuinely has an arsenal and is planning to use it. Law enforcement treats this as legitimate. They have to. In post-Columbine America, in post-Parkland America, in post-Uvalde America, which happened just a couple hours away, you don't take chances with school shooting threats. Every single one gets investigated like lives are on the line, because they are. Here's the thing though about those guns in the photo. The person who posted that threat didn't own them, had never touched them, probably didn't even know where they physically existed in the real world, because they got the image from Pinterest. This might seem like a completely different kind of case compared to Sherri Papini researching how to fake a kidnapping, or Molly Russell being fed suicidal content, but it reveals yet another way Pinterest can be weaponized. The 14-year-old who posted that threat just typed guns into Pinterest's search bar, scrolled through hundreds of results showing firearms of every type imaginable, picked the scariest looking photo she could find, screenshotted it, and reposted it to Instagram with a threatening caption. That's all it took. That's all it took to shut down an entire school district and trigger a massive multi-agency law enforcement response. Pinterest hosts millions of images of firearms, gun collectors showing off their collections, enthusiast boards documenting different models, survival preppers displaying their supplies, stock photos from manufacturers, all perfectly legal content that adults are allowed to post and share. The platform isn't doing anything wrong by hosting these images, but when a teenager downloads one of those photos and pairs it with a school shooting threat, Pinterest's innocent image library becomes evidence in a felony case. Investigators didn't waste time. They started by bringing in a 14-year-old male student who'd been reported by multiple classmates as suspicious.
New details on a shooting threat involving East Central High School. A 14-year-old student was detained over an online post targeting the campus. KENS 5's Sarah Duran with the details.
Took him to the sheriff's office, questioned him thoroughly. He denied everything, passed their scrutiny. They let him go, but kept him suspended from campus while they continued investigating. You don't take chances. Then digital forensics came back. The Instagram account's IP address traced to a completely different student, a 14-year-old girl. It's October 4th, 2024, just 3 days after the threat was posted. Authorities execute a search warrant at East Central Cast High School. They find the girl during school hours, seize her phone right there in the building, confirm the matching account details, and arrest her on the spot. She's charged with making terroristic threats, a felony under Texas law, not a misdemeanor that disappears when you turn 18, a felony that could follow her for the rest of her life. The detention hearing is captured on local news cameras. cameras. A visibly shaken 14-year-old girl stands before Judge William Cruz Shaw, trying to explain it was just a joke, just for attention. She didn't actually mean any of it. The judge isn't interested in her excuses. He lectures her sternly about how one impulsive decision just completely derailed her entire future. He acknowledges she's probably not inherently a bad person, but he emphasizes that actions have consequences and she's going to face every single one of them. He orders her held in juvenile custody until her next court appearance on October 21st. She's already suspended from East Central ISD pending a disciplinary hearing that could result in permanent expulsion. Her mother testifies she'd never had behavioral problems before this. Defense attorneys highlight her clean record, try to frame this as a one-time lapse in judgment. None of it matters. The school implements hold alert protocol the next day. Extra security officers at every entrance. Parents receive official letters emphasizing all threats will be prosecuted fully. The community stays terrified for weeks. Every loud noise makes people flinch. Every unfamiliar car raises suspicions. And all of that collective trauma, all of that fear and wasted law enforcement resources traces back to an image that took maybe 5 seconds to find on Pinterest. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office reports they'd vetted over 60 similar school threats in just a 16-county area since September 1st alone, most from juveniles, most originating online, many using images sourced from Pinterest to make threats appear legitimate. By early 2025, the girl's case disappeared from public records, as juvenile proceedings usually do. She likely got probation, counseling, community service. We don't know the final outcome. What we know is Pinterest made it possible. So far, we've covered how Pinterest can be used to plan elaborate hoaxes and how the algorithm can feed vulnerable teenagers harmful content that contributes to their deaths. But there's another side to Pinterest that's even darker, one that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. In 2025, multiple investigations started uncovering something deeply disturbing happening on the platform. Pinterest wasn't just hosting harmful content anymore. It was becoming a hunting ground for predators targeting minors, and the platform's wholesome reputation was giving these people perfect cover. The pattern works like this. Pinterest allows public boards. Anyone can create them, anyone can view them. Parents upload photos of their kids to family boards thinking it's private and safe. Those photos get indexed by Pinterest's search algorithm. Predators search for specific terms, find these innocent family photos, save them to their own boards, recontextualize them, add them to collections alongside increasingly sexualized content. The parents never know their children's images are being collected and curated by strangers with disturbing intentions. Media investigations in 2025 found boards on Pinterest specifically dedicated to images of minors in swimsuits, dance costumes, gymnastics outfits, all technically legal photos that parents had uploaded innocently, but collected together by users with clear predatory intent. The platform's algorithm would then recommend related content. Pin one image of a child in a swimsuit, Pinterest shows you 10 more. The system actively helps predators build these collections, but it gets worse. Let me tell you about Eric Mangum. It's September 2025. A female undergraduate at UC Berkeley breaks up with her boyfriend. His name is Eric Mangum, 25 years old, former UC Berkeley student himself. 5 days after the breakup, she starts receiving anonymous, threatening text messages. They know her dorm building, her specific room number, personal details about her life. She's terrified, contacts university police, requests emergency permission to move back home with her parents. UCPD investigates. Digital forensics link Mangum to the harassment. They charge him with felony stalking. The court issues a no-contact order. Mangum ignores it completely. He bombards his ex-girlfriend with messages across multiple platforms. Instagram, Spotify playlists with accusatory titles, and Pinterest. He uses Pinterest to pin images with harassing captions directed at her, creates boards only she would understand, uses the platform's messaging features to send threats, enrolls her email in subscriptions to sex toy companies to humiliate her. Authorities charge him with violating the protective order and attempting to dissuade a witness. Then in December 2025, police forensically examine Mangum's seized phone. What they find is horrifying. Over 600 images of child sexual abuse material, 18 videos, minors under 18, at least 10 items featuring children under 12. The material stored in hidden folders on his phone. It's December 18th, 2025. The Alameda County District Attorney files new felony charges. Possession of child pornography. Mangum requests bail. Judge Michael Risher denies it. Sets bail at $150,000. Mangum remains in custody at Santa Rita Jail. When investigators try to interview him about the child abuse material, he invokes his right to an attorney, refuses to talk. They never find out where he got it. Dark web, social media networks, file sharing sites. He's not saying. This is where Pinterest's role becomes particularly insidious. The platform has become a distribution point for this kind of material, not hosting it directly necessarily, but connecting people who collect it. The algorithm links predators together through shared interests. Pin something concerning, get recommended to other users who pin similar content. Before you know it, there's an entire network of people sharing and trading exploitative material, all facilitated by Pinterest's recommendation system. And Pinterest knows about this. Multiple reports in 2025 highlighted the problem. Journalists found public boards containing thousands of images of minors in compromising or sexualized contexts. When confronted, Pinterest said they'd updated policies, enhanced reporting tools, default private settings for users under 16, better content moderation. But investigations found the problem persisting. Boards still exist. Networks still operate. The algorithm still connects predators to each other and to content. The difference between Pinterest and other platforms is the curation aspect. On Instagram or TikTok, predators have to actively search and scroll to find content. On Pinterest, the platform does half the work for them. The algorithm learns what they're interested in and serves it up automatically, organizes it into neat little collections, makes it easy to save, categorize, and return to. The very features that make Pinterest great for wedding planning make it perfect for predators building libraries of exploitative content. Parents upload innocent photos of their kids at the beach, at dance recitals, at gymnastics competitions. Those images end up on boards curated by strangers with disturbing intentions. The parents never consented to this, never knew it was happening, and Pinterest's algorithm actively facilitates it by recommending similar content to users who engage with these collections. Campus advocates at Berkeley called for stronger digital literacy programs after the Mangum case, better education about how platforms can be weaponized. But the real problem isn't user education, it's Pinterest's fundamental design. A platform optimized for collecting and organizing visual content will always be vulnerable to this kind of abuse. And as long as engagement metrics matter more than safety, the problem continues. As of January 2026, Mangum's case likely proceeded to trial or resolved through confidential plea negotiations. The victim continues, recovering with university support, and somewhere on Pinterest's servers, boards full of exploitative content still exist, still getting recommended, still connecting predators to each other and to new material. Pinterest's wholesome reputation provides perfect camouflage for one of social media's darkest problems. Most people don't think about restraining orders until they need one. They're legal documents designed to protect victims of harassment, abuse, or stalking by legally prohibiting the perpetrator from making any contact whatsoever. No phone calls, no text messages, no showing up at their house, no communication of any kind. Violate it and you're looking at criminal charges. Pretty straightforward, right? Except in 2014, courts started realizing that social media had created a massive gray area that nobody had really thought through yet. What counts as contact in the digital age? If someone likes your Instagram post, is that contact? If they follow your Twitter account, does that violate a no contact order? What about Pinterest? Let me tell you about Rebecca Shaw. It's June 2013 in Beverly, Massachusetts. A woman receives an email notification from Pinterest. Someone new is following her boards. She opens the notification to see who it is. The name on the account makes her stomach drop. It's her mother, Rebecca Shaw, the same mother she has a domestic restraining order against, the same mother who's legally prohibited from contacting her in any way. Rebecca Shaw was 56 years old. She had an estranged relationship with her daughter that had deteriorated badly enough for the daughter to seek legal protection. The restraining order was clear: no contact. None. But here was this Pinterest notification sitting in the daughter's inbox like a taunt. I'm watching you, and I'm telling you, I'm watching you. The daughter clicks through to the Pinterest account. It's definitely meant to be her mother. The username matches Rebecca Shaw's name. The boards contain pins aligned with her mother's known interests. And there are comments, disparaging comments about the daughter and others. This isn't some random person who happens to share the same name. This is intentional. The daughter reports it to Beverly Police. In February 2014, 8 months after that Pinterest notification, officers arrest Rebecca Shaw at her residence on 3 Access Road. The charge is willfully breaching a no-contact restraining order through electronic means, a criminal offense, all because she clicked a follow button on Pinterest. Here's what makes this case fascinating from a legal perspective. Rebecca Shaw never sent her daughter a direct message, never commented on her boards, never interacted with her content in any visible way. All she did was click follow, but that single click triggered an automated email from Pinterest's system, an email that went directly to the daughter's inbox. And prosecutors argued that this constituted contact, that Shaw knew exactly what would happen when she clicked that button, that the whole point was to let her daughter know she was watching. The case goes to Salem District Court, Judge Robert Brennan presiding. Prosecutor Alex Grimes argues that this isn't Shaw's first rodeo. She has a history of prior restraining order violations, similar breaches using different methods. The Pinterest account contains personal details that prove her involvement. This was deliberate harassment disguised as innocent social media activity. Defense attorney Susan Costa pushes back hard. She argues there's no concrete evidence Rebecca Shaw actually created that Pinterest account. Anyone familiar with both mother and daughter could have set it up to frame Shaw. And even if Shaw did create it, the automated Pinterest email doesn't qualify as deliberate communication. It's an algorithmic notification, incidental exposure, not targeted contact, like walking past someone on the street versus walking up to them and speaking. This case drew immediate parallels to another incident happening simultaneously in the same town. Thomas Gagnon of Beverly was arrested in December 2013 for sending an automated Google Plus invitation to his ex-girlfriend, despite having a restraining order against him. Same issue, different platform. Courts were struggling to figure out how to apply traditional no-contact orders to the automated notification systems built into every social media platform. Judge Brennan scheduled a separate hearing specifically about Pinterest's user verification processes. Could the follow action be authenticated as coming from Rebecca Shaw? How does Pinterest verify user identity? Can someone prove they didn't click that follow button? These were brand new legal questions in 2014. The initial trial was scheduled for mid-February 2014. Then a massive snowstorm hit Massachusetts. Trial postponed. Rescheduled for April 22, 2014. And then nothing. No subsequent public records. No media reports detailing a final verdict. The case just disappears from public view, most likely resolved through a plea deal, dismissal, or quiet acquittal. We don't know. But the legal implications rippled outward. By 2025, states like Arizona had updated their restraining order statutes to explicitly prohibit electronic contact, including follows, tags, or subscriptions on platforms like Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. Courts started treating these digital actions as equivalent to in-person stalking. Click a follow button on someone's Pinterest account when you have a restraining order against them. That's up to 1 year in jail or a $1,000 fine in Arizona. Other states followed with similar laws. Rebecca Shaw's case illustrated how passive platform features can be weaponized to violate protective orders. Pinterest didn't design the follow button as a harassment tool. It's meant to help users discover content they enjoy. But when someone under a restraining order uses it, that innocent feature becomes a method of intimidation, a way to let someone know you're watching them without technically sending them a message. The platform has since updated its policies and notification settings. Users can limit who can follow them, disable certain notifications, make boards private. But the fundamental problem remains. Social media platforms are built around connection and engagement. Restraining orders are built around separation and isolation. Those two things are fundamentally incompatible. And cases like Rebecca Shaw's prove that the law is still struggling to catch up with technology that moves faster than legislation ever could. So there you have it, 5 cases that show just how dark Pinterest can get when you look past the wedding boards and recipe collections. Sherri Papini used it to research an elaborate kidnapping hoax that fooled the nation. Molly Russell's secret board, titled Nothing to Worry About, contained 469 pins that helped lead to her death, while Pinterest's algorithm fed her more. Predators like Eric Mangum exploit the platform to collect and share exploitative content involving minors. A 14-year-old in Texas used it as a weapon arsenal to make a school shooting threat look credible, and Rebecca Shaw proved you could violate a restraining order with a single click of the follow button, all on the same platform where your mom saves casserole recipes. Pinterest spent years cultivating this image as the safe social media site, the wholesome one, the one that's just about inspiration and creativity and making your life more beautiful. But as these cases prove, any platform optimized for collecting and organizing content can be twisted into something sinister. The same algorithm that shows you 10 more cookie recipes when you pin one also showed Molly Russell 10,000 more reasons to give up on life. Pinterest isn't inherently evil, but it's not inherently safe either. And maybe it's time we stopped pretending it is. Thanks for watching, and maybe think twice before you pin that next board.